Doing, guys? Sorry I took the day off yesterday. I'm happy you're back though. Welcome to the channel. If you don't know, my name is Ope. That's how you say it, not Opie, not all that. It's a Midwest kind of thing, you know. It's like when you're walking by something, you make a mistake or something, you go whoop, whoop, dumb shit like that. Just to kind of get people to understand here. Well, this video is going to be really straightforward, and we did a 10 epics that are going to help you progress through Hydra, and that was a very popular video, and I thought, well, why don't we do 10 legendaries that are mainly free-to-play friendly, okay? Now, free-to-play friendly, that really depends on how long you've been playing the game, right? Because there's things like fusions and guaranteed champion events and champions that you get for just playing the game, like Mithrala and Lydia, Arbiter, stuff like that, okay? This list is this is only 10 of them, but this list is going to encompass those kind of champions. Not ones you can just randomly get from a shard, but ones that were a fusion before or a guaranteed champion, or ones that you just get from playing the game. Now, this is easy content for me to make because it really doesn't take much thought. I made a list in like a minute. And I was like, oh, that one was there, that one, that one, that one. These are all good. I use all these, right? I'd like to make more dedicated content to you guys. So all I'm asking in this video, if you've made it this far into my rambling, is please comment something that you'd like to see. You know, I don't want to do what every other content creator does, because the reason I started making content is because I would see their videos, and then a couple months later I'd see the same video that they just made. It'd be the same thing, and it would really irk the shit out of me. And it's like, why can't you guys just come up with new material? Just do something new, or don't put out a video at all. And as I've started to find out, you can't really do the latter if you're trying to make it as a content creator. Now, I have a job, all right? I work, essentially it's 13-hour shifts. So I'm not banking on YouTube to be my job. I don't want it to be my job. I want a stable job. I want one that's going to keep going and contributing to a community, a regular community, even if like something bad happens. You understand what I'm saying? I kind of like when pro football players don't have a degree and they have nothing to fall back on. I don't want that. So I do this kind of as a hobby. I like it. It's fun. It's been very exciting to see so many people join my channel, subscribe to it, and it's been more so in the last week or two. I've had actually quite a big boom. That's actually made me pretty happy to see, because I like making content that people like. I want something that to make to help them, because when I put myself in your guys' shoes when I was first playing the game, it was brand new and there's barely any content creators out there. Everybody was just shilling for Plarium, and that's totally fine too. That is a strategy you can have. Just a ramble there, but just trying to give you guys a little bit of context of why I do what I do, and why you get these kind of videos where I'm at work and you can't see my face because I'm recording on my phone. Funny, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, let's stop getting segued here, right? Let's get back on track, and let's go over 10 legendaries that'll help you progress through Hydra, okay? And these are mostly free to play friendly. And in this list, the order doesn't really matter. I just put this list together just as they came to my mind. But let's hit the first one here. Everybody will know this one. I'm in right there. This is Skill of the Drakes. She is great. She's a defensive base champion. She has very good multipliers, and she has a very good kit. All right. Skill of the Drakes brings passive healing every time she takes a turn. She'll heal all allies by 10% of their max HP, and will randomly place an increased big speed on an ally for 2 turns. That's pretty good. Okay. She has a revive that goes to a 4-turn cooldown, and it puts ally protection on them. And she has an A2 that is an AoE hit that hits twice that can place a stun. And that's a 3-turn cooldown, and that turns into a 35% chance of this happening. Now, what I want you to realize is this champion is not only good for Hydra, but it's very good for Doom Tower. If you are struggling to get through anything, Citadel of Drakes will get you through it, no problem. Okay? By the time you get her, I think it's 120 days in, so 3 months of playing the game. All right, 4 months playing the game, sorry. You may have already found better champions, but I'm telling you right now, I still use Citadel of Drake 4 years in Doom Tower boss fights. Mainly, I use her against the Griffin. She's in my auto Griffin team. Okay, and this is a very free-to-play friendly team, and I'll actually probably post that because I myself got that team idea from another person that was a content creator, but he stopped, but he made a free-to-play series. It was pretty good. Okay, and her A1 can place decreased speed. Actually, I still use Citadel of the Drakes against Nether Spider because that fucking boss is a joke. But anyways, and I always tell people, don't really look at these. These ratings really don't mean jack shit. People will, review bomb champions if they don't feel they're perfect. But still has 20,000 reviews, and they're positive. So that's something to, take into consideration. All right, let's go to number 2, shall we? And this one is no surprise to anybody. It's John Cena. It's my boy, Nekmothar. He was a guaranteed champion. He's the only one on here that I think I've put on that was a guaranteed champion. Everybody else has been a fusion or, play as you earn kind of champion. But I can't stop singing this motherfucker's praises. I love this dude. Dude, look at him. This is supposed to be some kind of Mayan Aztec sword. To me, that's just something to spank people with. This, if the Hydra had 2 big-ass rumps, little butt cheeks, he would just be fucking spanking that shit. I love Nekmothar. We're going to go over why. He has an aura here. Increases ally speed in all battles by 19%. That's about average for legendaries. Okay? So there's one positive. Here's another positive. His A3 is speed weirding. Places big speed increase in all allies for 2 turns and fills their turn meter by 30%. Then grants his champion an extra turn. This is a 4-turn cooldown. It's effectively a 3-turn cooldown because he gets an extra turn. Okay? His A2 attacks all enemies, books to 100% chance of placing decreased speed and leech for 2 turns. This is booked to a 3-turn cooldown and 100%. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right? And right here we have Steel Melt Acid. His A1 is amazing. Has a 40% chance of placing decreased attack for 2 turns. The chance increases to 75 against targets under debuffs. Right? And right here, the coup de grace is his Rune of Haste. His turn meter will be filled by 5% each time a debuff on an enemy is removed, transferred, or expires. Read that. It doesn't say any debuff he's placed. It's any debuff. So if you're going against Hydra and the Head of Decay cleanses, guess who gets a turn right away? This boy. This boy right here. This frog lizard boy. I love him. I love you, Nekmothar. I love you so much. He has great base speed. His stats are pretty good. He's a little squishy on the defense side, so just something to keep in mind. But you have to balance him out somehow, or he would just... I don't know. I mean... If somebody were to ask me if I ever get big enough and I get put in the content creator program and then they start including me on these collabs and stuff, they go, who do you think is the best legendary champion in the game? And I would go, it's Nekmothar. It's always Nekmothar. I would get on a loudspeaker and get in their face and be like, Nekmothar! I love this dude. I love him. He is, I don't know why people 4.9 him out of Hydra. He is a 5 on Hydra. I love you, Nekmo. All right. There we go. I'll stop simping for Nekmo. Here we go. This one is pretty decent. This is Mighty Uko. Now, Mighty Uko really shines in Arena. Put him in a stun set, and he's going to carry you. Okay? Give him a bit decent accuracy, make him fast. Uko is in the same vein as Nekmothar, but not even close to being as good. He does have the same speed increase. Actually, 20%. They must have changed this. I thought this was 19%, but Ugo has increased ally speed in all battles by 20%. Okay? His passive, which is very interesting, Totem Warden, has a 50% chance of stealing 1 random buff from a random enemy each time a buff is placed on the enemy team. Will only attempt to steal 1 buff for each type of buff placed simultaneously. For example, only 1 random buff may be stolen if 3 shield buffs are placed at the same time. Any stolen buffs become protected. So when you see like the Head of Wrath go off and he has his Retribution and all that other stuff and his increased attack and his reflect damage, Uko has a chance to steal those. Same thing with the ally protect and the reflect damage from the Head of Torment. Or no, it's not Torment. What is it? It's that really annoying. It's the tankiest head. It's one of the most annoying heads in there. But he can steal that, okay? His A3 is a 4-turn cooldown when booked, revives all dead allies with 40% HP, then places block damage on them for a turn. Also places increased speed on allies for 2 turns, will place increased speed even if there are no dead allies. So it's kind of, people were saying this is kind of like a shitty thing in a way, because he will just use the ability if nobody's dead, right? Which I understand. You really want your supports to hold their revive abilities until somebody, another one bites the dust kind of deal. But it is what it is, okay? His A2 is really good and really interesting. It's called Ukko's Fury. It is a 4-turn cooldown, books to 100% chance of removing 2 random buffs from the target, attacks all enemies twice. Now it places block buffs and decreases the accuracy for 2 turns on targets that have no buffs after the attack. This is what actually makes him not as good as Ugo, right? It's very confusing, right? We have a Ugo who's an epic, and then we have Ukko, right? Or Ukko. I'd say Ukko. But he is not as good because of that, to where Ugo can just place block debuffs and decrease defense, no problem, no other prerequisites required. You have Ukko who actually has to have this caveat of them not having any buffs. So if you decapitate a hydra head and it comes back, well, it has that stupid buff of, a new grown head. Guess what? You can't remove that. It's a protected buff. Ukko won't place block debuffs or decrease accuracy until that falls off, which is kind of shitty. You know what I mean? But, that is what it is. He's still a great free-to-play option. I love this guy. And now that I've finished out my 3rd Ugo, he will be transferred to an arena specialty, to where I'm going to use him in a live arena in a stun set. And I recommend you do the same once you can. And then right here is A1, just like Nekmothar. He'll place decrease attack for 2 turns. This books up to a 75% chance, just like Nekmothar's can. Okay. So I do love Ukko. He reminds me of that giant boar lord from Princess Mononoke. And then the next one here, this should come to no surprise to anybody. This is the first one of the you just play the game and eventually you're going to get her. It's Lydia the Death Siren. Lydia brings a lot to the table. She is your reward for beating all factions and faction wars, okay? She brings increased resistance in the arena aura, and I think this is the biggest one at 100. But you don't really see her too much in arena anymore. Every once in a while you will against like Marichka teams, because Lydia will just block that revive. She has very good base stats. She's very fast at 110 base. Defense is decent at 1.2, and her HP is very solid at almost 21,000. She has a passive here that doesn't matter for Hydra. It denies revive attempts. This works even if this champion is dead. If she is dead, it will revive her, but if you have a teammate set and they try to revive in the enemy team, she'll come back. This is a 7-turn cooldown, okay? This is actually a very good ability, and it's very underrated. Ugo cannot place block debuffs 100% of the time. So I like to run Lydia with Ugo, just for the fact that she can kind of clean up where Ugo misses. So this nullification will attack an enemy twice. The first hit has a 100% chance when booked of placing poison sensitivity for 2 turns. That doesn't matter. The second hit has a 100% chance of placing block buffs and block active skills. You can't place block active skills on the Hydra, but you can place block buffs. This is a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Very good ability. This is her kind of like piece de resistance. This is her Siren's Wail. Books to a 3-turn cooldown. Books to a 100% chance. Will attack all enemies. Places the big decreased defense and the big weaken for 2 turns, and will also in turn give strengthen and increased speed on all your allies for 2 turns. It's very good. She essentially, this is what we like to call a big swing. You see what I'm saying? To where she debuffs the enemy team and she buffs your team at the same time for the exact opposite buffs and debuffs. It's very cool. And then we have Oppression. This really doesn't matter, but this is kind of fuck you up. So if the Head of Torment's out and he's placing fears, she's going to automatically attack him if he places a fear and fear herself. And then it's just, almost unreliable. I would recommend running her with an Inquisitor Shamail, which we did cover in our 10 best epics for Hydra progression. but she'll place a fear for a turn. Books to 100% chance of increasing the duration of any poison sensitivity by 1 turn, but that doesn't matter. And attacks enemy champions with this skill whenever they place a freeze. All these other stuff. Blah 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 blah. The first attack will target the attacker. So they're kind of quick little story. I know this is going to be a long video, but this was bugged. If you had 2 Lydias on the same team and they both had high enough accuracy to place fear on each other, they would continuously, it would destroy the match. They would keep fearing each other, and it would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was kind of funny, but thank God they fixed it. The next one, everybody knows this lady. She is the poster woman. This is Arbiter. What's up, sweet thing? She is going to be great. Believe it or not, if you build Arbiter, I mean, she's going to be your fastest champ, period. Unless you have like a Siphi, then Siphi becomes your fastest champ in the game. But Arbiter generally becomes your fastest champ on your whole account. This aura will not matter. In Hydra, she revives Destiny's Call, revives all dead allies, and then grants an extra turn if an ally was successfully revived. She has Mentor of Heroes. This books to a 3 turn. Increase attack on all allies, and will also fill their turn meters by 30% and heals all allies by 25% of their max HP if they're less than 50. I forgot to say, Destiny's Call is a 5 turn cooldown. Her A2, again, like Lydia, is kind of an underrated thing. Enforced Humility, it's 100% chance when booked of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn, and it attacks all enemies. It's very good. Very, very good. And then her A1 places weaken with what's the chance there? 50% chance. And she hits him twice. Okay, so what, 75% chance maybe of actually landing it? Arbiter's very good. Don't sleep on her, especially if you're trying to progress through Hydra. She'll get you there, all right? Just gotta be patient. All right, number 6 here, again, nope, wrong one. Number 6 here is the poor man's Duchess, or in some cases even better than Duchess. I see a lot of plat players playing him rather than playing Duchess, or like a lot of live arena matches, you'll see somebody pick a Duchess, pick Pythion, and they pick 2 nukers and then some other weird utility champion, and then it's like, fuck, what do I pick? But Pythion's great, okay? Decent base speed, very good base defense, very good base HP. He is what some people would call a mother trucker. His aura increases all resistance in battles by 60. This can be very effective for the Hydra because you don't want that head of mischief stealing your buffs, and this will actually help you out a lot. Right here is overlay passive. All allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them, and this goes up to 25%. Immortal Serpent, he'll revive all dead allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and then give them strengthen for 2 turns. This is a 4 turn cooldown when booked. Shed Skin, he will cleanse the team, heal them by 10% of their max HP, and then heals each ally by an extra 5% of their max HP for each debuff removed from them. We'll also place block debuffs on allies for 2 turns. This is a 3 turn cooldown. Now, if you remember, we were talking about Mausoleum Mage. This is a bit of a mix between Mausoleum Mage's 2 abilities of Purging Wind and the one that puts up the buffs. And then this A1 will attack an enemy twice and heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of this champion's max HP after each hit. So this really incentivizes you to make him fast. You can, I would recommend putting him in retaliation accessories, so he can just A1 to help keep the heals going on your team, kind of like a mini Cardiel. Okay. Let's keep moving on here. This one, again, another no surprise here. If you're looking for a bait tank, look no further. Here he comes. Ultimate Death Knight. Okay, Ultimate Death Knight is a motherfucker. He has this passive that really does start to stack up. Increases his defense, HP, speed by 10% for each dead ally. Too Awesome to Die. Whenever an ally is attacked, has a 100% chance of completely blocking the hit, decreasing the incoming damage to 0. This champion will receive that damage instead. It will also redirect any debuffs from the hit to this champion. The chance blocking a hit will redirect the debuff. Decreases 50% if the attacker is a boss. Does not work if the attack on the ally was an AoE. Whenever an enemy is healed, heals his champion by 20% of the heal. It's very good. He's very good in Hydra. He brings shield and continuous heal. 3 turn cooldown. His A2 brings decreased attack and fear. The fear won't hit, but the decreased attack will. That's 100% chance when booked. That's on a 3 turn cooldown. Okay? And his A1 he has a chance, 50% chance to taunt. So he's actually, I mean, it's a very good chance against Head of Decay, okay? And then another one that's no surprise, you get her from just playing Hydra. And I know a lot of people just got her and didn't touch Hydra ever again, but Mithral is great. She has an increased accuracy in all battles over by 80. Her passive, whenever champion is attacked by an enemy under Hex, 50% chance of placing petrification on them for a turn. Whenever an ally is attacked an enemy under Hex debuff, 30% chance. Also increases this champion's resistance. The amount which is increased is equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. So the thing is, you just built a ton of accuracy on her, and then you just, go from there. Rip shit riot. Her A3 is Brimming Cyclics. It's a cleanse that brings strengthen and shield on a 3-turn cooldown. And then we have Sigil of Toxic Glories, or A2. Again, a 3-turn cooldown. Will attack all enemies placing Hex for 2 turns. Will also give increased defense and increased attack for 2 turns. This is a very, very good ability. And if you notice, her damage is all based on defense. I just realized that's very good. She will help you out against the Head of Mischief because you can't target it 100% unless you put Hex on him. So there you go. And then her A1 just brings poisons. At 100% chance to place them, she'll attack 2 times at random. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to run through these real quick. Here's another guy. You can use him as a bait tank. He's going to come in, build him fast with high accuracy. High resistance, decent accuracy. Under Priest Brogni was a fusion. I love this dude. I have 3 of him. If I get a 4th, I'm just going to start empowering my main one. Decent speed, decent defense base, very good HP base. He brings a Doom Tower aura for resistance in in those battles. His passive is kind of what really helps here. His Redoubt. Whenever an ally under a shield buff is attacked, reflects 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield back to the attacker. Also heals that ally by 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield. If there are multiple champions in the team with the skill, only one will active. Resilient Glow. Okay, this is a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Will place block debuffs and a 50% increased attack on all allies for 2 turns. Also places shield buff on allies for 2 turns equal to 30% of this guy's max HP. The shield buff cannot be removed. It is a protected buff. It's very good. And Seer actually cannot remove it if I remember right either. This thing here, Cavern's Grasp. If you see that like the Head of Mischief has stolen something, it only has 1 turn left on it, use this A2, knock that off the Head of Mischief, you'll be alright. This is an AoE attack that has a 100% chance when booked at a 3-turn cooldown to remove 1 random buff from all enemies. Has a 100% chance of removing 1 random debuff from all allies. Increases the value of shield buffs on all allies by 30% of the damage inflicted. So you really bring him down to War Master just to get that extra proc. And then his A1 has a chance to apply HP burn. Okay, and now the last one, which people sleep on this guy, but I'm going to tell you right now, this guy, I actually wish I had one because I'd use him in Nightmare, but he is a Nightmare bait tank, and he's great for taunting the Head of Decay. Skull Lord Vargal. He has the biggest HP pool in the entire game, like base HP. People thought this dude was going to smackaroo, but then he was just Mr. Noodle Fingers, you know what I'm saying? He's got good base speed, he's got very good base resistance, very good base accuracy, and amazing defensive stats, HP and defense, right? He has a passive here, does not count, we're not going to go over it, this won't happen in Hydra. Right here, this passive though, Horrific Foe. When attacked, destroys the attacker's max HP by 5%, destroys the max HP of bosses by 2.5%, cannot destroy a single enemy's max HP by more than 50, occurs once per attack. Has a 50% chance of placing True Fear debuff on targets whose max HP has been destroyed by 20% or more. Most of that's not going to really, you don't give a crap about that, right? His A3, Abyssal Clutch. Attacks all enemies, books to 100% chance, 3-turn cooldown of placing big decreased attack. That's very important for Hydra. Right here, Skull Claim. Books to a 2-turn cooldown. So what he'll do is he'll place Big Strengthen on himself for 2 turns, and then has a 100% chance of placing Provoke on a target for 1 turn. People love to use Skull Lord Vargal against the Head of Decay. Nubcax I've seen uses him quite a bit. And his A1 places heal reduction. I mean, what more can you ask for? But guys, that's going to be it. I'm sorry this video is 25 minutes long, but that is what it is. I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. I'll try to get some more content out for you. If you please just have any suggestions or anything you want to see on the channel, put them down below. Do you want to see me do a free-to-play series? I'll do that for you. I'll make a free-to-play series, and I'll show you the steps to get your account progression fast, easy, and effective. Okay? All right, guys. I love you. God bless, and goodbye to you.